Hey folks, this episode is a short segment of a full-length interview, an hour long, with someone who you know, Ben Sullins. And Ben has done so much for the EV community. We have all followed him for years and think very highly of him. So we were honored to have him on to chat with us. If you want to watch the full interview, head on over to rivianstories.com. The link is in the description. Or just subscribe here. I'll be releasing these segments over the next couple weeks, and you won't miss it if you just do that. Either way, we hope you enjoy these conversations as much as we did, and thanks again to Ben for joining us. We've seen this S1 report about Rivian and how much they'll be able to do at a normal, like 150,000 maybe, and then we see the ramp up that, and it's going to be slow, and then now we just know that the production hell term that Elon made famous, like that they're surely going to be up against it, and we don't necessarily have to talk about that now, but I think that us Rivian fanboys kind of see that that's the kind of cliff we're coming up to as far as jumping off.
Yeah.
And is Rivian going to make it? To me, one of the biggest, brightest spots there is the Amazon deal, if they can deliver that too, because it just gives some versatility there. But any thoughts on that? And then I'll kick it over to Jimmy.
Yeah. Rivian, as long as they have money and a runway, they'll be fine. I think they've done the hard part, which is to make a great product, right? They're not marketing their way to sell you crap here. They made a fantastic vehicle, right? And I'm excited about the R1S probably even more than the R1T. With scale, so the challenge is these things take a long time. To switch a factory over or whatever, to even build it out from scratch. I mean, look at what Tesla delayed Cybertruck and volume production until like late 2023 or something like that. I mean, come on, I had bets with my friends that they were going to get one out this year, right? And you're like, and they know what the hell they're doing, like better than anyone in this space, right?
Exactly.
So it's a challenge, right? So I think Rivian can. They seem like this. So if you guys in the space, if in the adventure world, you have Patagonia, right? And Patagonia's thing is like, we grow as fast as our customers want us to grow. Our goal isn't to just become the biggest whatever, outdoors, whatever. We want to be a brand that grows with them. And, and they don't want you to say, buy a new jacket every year, right? They want you to keep it around forever, that kind of a thing. So I think if Rivian takes that approach and is able to, depending on who the investors are and how aggressive they want to be, then I think they have a really long, bright future. Will they ever compete with the F-150? I don't know. That is that is the hardest thing. I mean, think about it. Nothing competes with the F-150, right? Not even the Silverado or the other. So, but that doesn't mean that they can't be a good, viable company and continue to grow, continue to do things. So, the term like getting ahead of your skis is the only thing I worry about here, right? Because if Bezos came in and said, "Okay, RJ, here's 10 billion, go nuts," it still takes 9 months to make a baby, right? Like, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you still have to find these locations. You have, whether it's a plot of dirt like Lucid or an old factory like they're doing now or like Tesla did, it'll take time to get scale. So as long as they can kind of, show enough profitability and show enough progress and keep that ball rolling, I think they have a good, bright future ahead of them. To become a major player in the auto space, I think is a 5 to 10 year kind of question, and who the hell knows what's going to go on? Right. I mean, is Toyota even going to be around in 10 years?
Exactly.
Like at this stage, without them going anywhere into the EV space, I know they've said some things, but they haven't done anything yet. You're like, guys, the ship is leaving. You need to get on board, or that may be it. You may be stuck on the island.
Yep. Great stuff there, man. You getting into investment, IPO, all that kind of stuff. It is a long time. Jimmy, I'm going to kick it over to you, though. What are you thinking? What's the direction you would most like to go right now?
I'm going to ask you, Ben, about, I know you did the Cybertruck event. You were there for it, and your super sweet vest and your lines cut into the side of your head. And
that was fun.
But you didn't pre-order the Rivian until after that. What pushed you in that direction?
Yeah. Did I not? Yeah, no, I think actually that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that event probably is what did it. I mean, I looked at that thing and said, no way. I'm not okay. I think Joe Rogan said it best, right? He said, great, now I can be obnoxious and environmentalist at the same time. It's the Hummer of today. I mean, the Hummer, I go back to this, like, I don't know why GM is doing the Hummer. I think they should just cancel it entirely. I think it's a dumb idea. And the reason is because the whole point of the Hummer had nothing to do with the vehicle. I don't know if you guys had one or ever ridden in one, but they're the most uncomfortable piece of crap things on the planet. But that is not the feature, right? Like I said, every product has like a niche, right? The Hummer, the original Hummer, the H2 or whatever, the whole point was, look at me. Get attention. You know, I got my cool outfit on. I'm going to the club. I want the girls to notice me. That's what a Hummer was for. That's what it was designed to be. That was its only benefit.
That's
Now
the
you look
new
at the
one
Hummer.
too, Ben.
What's that?
That's the new one too. That's the Hummer EV. That's the audience
Right.
that I see for it.
Yep.
Okay, but put it next to a Cybertruck and roll these down the street. Which one's going to get more eyeballs? This Cybertruck is going to win this hands down. You know, you look at the thing like, what is that? Is that a DeLorean? What the hell? So, like,
Exactly.
this Cybertruck is the Hummer, right? It has the, obviously it's electric and blah, blah, blah. But, like, that's the point of the Cybertruck. It's not actually to be a truck. I don't think that people that actually want or like trucks are going to buy the Cybertruck. I don't think that's the buyer profile at all. It's a lifestyle vehicle. It's not at all about actual utility or any of those things. You know, Tesla fans will argue, oh, it can do all these things. I'm like, well, talk to me in a couple of years when it's out and we can drive it and we can talk about that. Right now, it's just a drawing, right? So I saw that and I was going, well, no, that's you know, I'm a dad with 2 kids. I'm not going to be just, you know, having a Model X was enough, right? Dropping your kid off at school and have the doors go like this and every kid go, whoa, that's enough. I don't need the attention. You know, I'm good. So the Cybertruck, when I saw that, I'm like, nope, not going to do this. Although the specs, or at least the what they've said, they're targeting for price and performance and everything else. That's unreal what they're trying to do. So I hope they can come close to that because I think that's a great win. But when I saw the Rivian, I go, oh, I can do this. Is real. I can see myself in this. You know, and even after driving or riding in the F-150 Lightning, as excited as I am about that, I still would go Rivian if I were to get a truck. So, you know, to me, it's just the right, like, I bet you're going to sell a ton of these on the coasts, you know, probably in the Midwest where people are hauling cattle around and stuff like that. You're probably not buying a Rivian for that. But, you know, California, New York, Florida, these kind of places, I think it's going to be a great one. So for me, it was the design and then, you know, knowing a little bit about the history of the company, having faith in what they could do. And then because, I was there at the unveiling or whatever in Griffith Observatory in LA. I got to meet Rihanna. That was kind of a cool perk.
Nice.
But yeah, it was a good thing. So I think the Rivian is going to appeal to a far greater audience, you know, as it appealed to me much more than the Cybertruck.
Yeah, if I could have a B point to my question here. I know there's been a lot of we just did a factory video that Kyle released last week, I think within the last like 4 or 5 days, and Rivian seems to have taken a lot of flack from those on the outside looking in. That after 2.5, almost 3 years now, they've only got 48,930 pre-order holders. What's your take on that amount? Is it enough? Is it shockingly low, like a lot of people say, or is it because the $1,000 down payment requires a lot more commitment than a $100 deposit on, say, the F-150 or the Tesla?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, so the barrier to entry is higher, so that will definitely weed out some people. The thing, though, that I would venture my best guess as to why that is what it is, I don't think that's bad. I mean, I don't know what they were expecting or whatever, but I don't think it matters. I mean, we've got 100,000 pre-orders for the van and Bezos behind you and whatever, and an IPO. I think they've got enough cash to make it work. I think that and this is maybe a criticism of them, and I think things are changing there. I know from my seat, usually when a new electric vehicle or anything in the EV space is coming, folks like myself and others that kind of cover these usually get contacted and we get invited and we get to access to these things and all that. And Rivian decidedly did not do that. right? I think Motor Trend got to do a thing, and then just up until now in Breckenridge was the first time any of us ever really got access to it. I mean, you could like see it at a show, but so I think that outside of the EV world, you didn't have this giant splash of media of everyone going, oh God, this is it. And, you know, as much as is, especially in the Tesla world, people get upset about people calling something a Tesla killer or whatever, it generates buzz. And that's the whole point of any of that stuff. It doesn't matter what people's opinions are. It's just the fact that now you're talking about it versus not. So I didn't see that with Rivian. I mean, there's, you know, we see it as, you know, fans in this and we know this. But again, I mean, I told people when I got back from the Breckenridge trip, oh yeah, I was off this off-roading thing and this electric truck, whatever, you know, blah, blah, blah. They're like, oh great, yeah, who's making it? I said, Rivian. They said, oh yeah, but who's making that? Right? Who's making the Rivian? They've never, not even something anyone's ever heard of. And even when I was there talking with the press guys, who I love all of them, and the vibe and everything about that whole trip was so authentic. I would say it was so real. You know, I go to a lot of these things, and there's a lot of like, oh hey, journalist, come here and look at this, and that was not at all. It was like we're there just, you know, chewing the fat, talking smack about things, just having fun, just you know, hanging out, just being nerds, and I loved it. So kudos to them for where they're at now. But I would say prior to this, there has not been a lot of engagement in terms of working with the press to get things out there. So without that, I think that my guess is that, you know, there weren't a lot of eyeballs on it. And the people that maybe were aware of it were already so, you know, in a camp or another that you're not going to really pull people away, right? That's kind of the challenge. Like, in the Ford world, they don't have to sell a single Tesla fan an F-150 Lightning, and they will still have the best-selling electric truck in the country, easy, hands down. Like just all you, I mean, millions of people across 40 years buying these things. Yeah, they don't need anybody else outside of them. Rivian doesn't have that, so they have to pull from somewhere. And whether that's people that are coming into the truck world or people that maybe have something like a Tacoma now that want an electric, whatever the case is, you have to be pulling from somewhere else because you're new and you don't have that. So I think it's a much steeper hill to climb for them than it is a lot of the other folks. And Tesla's the same way. Tesla can have a bazillion pre-orders. We'll see how many actually come to fruition. But point being, they have a giant fan base that will just buy anything Elon sells. I mean, surfboards, flamethrowers, whatever the hell else they come up with, right? It's kind of like Apple in a lot of ways, right? Apple's the same way.
Beer, yeah.
Yeah, tequila, right. Yeah, whatever. So it's a thing, right? So without any of that, I think they have a much harder time, or are having a much harder time. But the product is great. Step one, make a great product. Step two, get it in front of people. That's, you know, inviting folks like myself and you guys out to see it, to make videos about it, and in a real authentic way, not a here's a perfect little track, do this. You know, like we were off-roading for 2 days. I got my ass kicked by the altitude sickness. It was just like, there was nothing. It was 100% real. You know what I mean? So I think they're going about it right. And as long as they have enough runway, I think they'll be fine. Outside of that, investors and those people, I think that they generally are detached from reality and none of that really matters. You get this, you bring this to EV shows, you get this in front of people, you start racing on the road and start having those kind of things and building that kind of groundswell, and you know, it'll come.
Yeah. And Jimmy, I totally agree with Ben. I mean, relatively speaking, there haven't been many eyes on Rivian, and let's say, give or take, they have a year worth of production capacity in pre-orders.
Right.
And I've been saying all along, with a product like this, once there's more of them on the road, once they kind of even just naturally get more eyeballs, you know, it's going to create a lot more demand.
Oh, for sure. It's just, it's wild to me though, from, I guess, being in the position that we're in. You know, we've known about the company for three years and change at this point, you know, that even with the amount of content that is coming out, and granted, it's not at the Tesla level yet, and it's not at the F-150 level for the content, or the Jeep level, insert any level other than Rivian. And, you know, they're like 48,930, like that's a joke. Why is it? It should be way higher if this company's going to do anything. And you're like, I mean, I think, and I could just keep talking about this. I'll stop, but it's I guess for me, from being the fan that I am and believing in this company, it's crazy to me that 48,000 is a low number.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think it's a good number, honestly. I mean, I don't know what people had thought that were expecting, but really, like when again you're coming out of nowhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not coming with any kind of heritage or any kind of background or any kind of audience, and you haven't been getting it in front of people very much. Exactly. So there's not a lot of attention there. And then on top of it, the whole EV market is like what, 2.5% of the overall market.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We are still, if you're familiar with what was the Crossing the Chasm book about technology adoption,
mm-hmm.
there's the whole thing about the different stages. 2%, you're in the very, very tip of the beginning,
mm-hmm.
right? So we in the EV world in general are still so nascent and so at the very, very beginning of this whole thing. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, unless there was they promised something or some analyst had put something out there, I think it's a solid number.
Yeah.
And crazy little factoid from an article that I read today. Although EVs are only 2% of the overall automotive sales, pure play EV manufacturers are 45% of the current automotive market cap right now.
Oh, yeah.
Which
that's all Tesla.
All Tesla. Yeah.
That's all Tesla right there. Yeah. In my was it the Mach-E video? I forget, but I had a chart there showing the market cap of the companies. And it was Tesla was like 780 billion or something insane. And then Toyota was like 200. You know, it was just like, my God.
So then what's the number 80 billion to you mean for Rivian come November? Is that crazy to you?
Well, you know, okay. So my theory on the market versus so you know, the saying is the market is not the economy, right?
Right.
The market itself doesn't reflect reality, unfortunately. Right. So it's so much speculation. So I mean, why is Tesla worth so much money when what are they going to make? Maybe 1 million cars this year? With shortages, probably not. I mean, but that's still 1 million. I mean, that's not nothing. That's a good amount. And hell, I mean, 5 years ago, it was like, they're not even going to make it, right? So great progress, but still, that's not a lot worldwide compared to the Toyotas and Hondas and VWs of the world. So when you think about it, so why are they worth, you know, triple or whatever Toyota is? It's all just a bet on the future. So what is the value of that? I mean, it's impossible to know, right? And so really, I look at the market as a speculative endeavor. It's sort of like gambling, with where you have all the institutional investors with all the actual money moving it as to which way they want it to go. And yeah, I mean, with the exception of the Wall Street bets folks of the world and that whole thing that happened, us retail investors just basically get screwed all the time by these guys, right? Because they decide how they want it to go. So 80 billion, I don't know. It's a number. Hopefully it's enough money to give Rivian enough runway to get another factory or another 2 factories, or to scale production and, you know, advertise or build some kind of press or get more eyeballs on it or whatever they got to do. So when you look at that, I mean, I don't know. The number itself is meaningless to me, I guess, because I look at all the speculators and stuff as just a bunch of, you know, rich people gambling with other people's money.
Yeah. All right, folks. Thanks so much for watching. Please do subscribe. We obviously have a ton more coming. And then in the meantime, please join us over at rivianstories.com. We have a lot of great conversation happening over here. And we also have some t-shirts. We'll ship them straight from us to you very soon. Thanks.